The problem with cycling is that since you are on open roads, you're on roads, you need the approval of the authorities. The authorities only deal with other authorities, federations. It's for example, it's easy to organize. I mean, cyclocross, for example, could perfectly be independent of the UCI. You don't need the UCI for cyclocross at all because it's on a closed field. You're your own boss.
Yeah.
Now you can do whatever you want, right? Mountain bike, same thing, right? Road racing is different. Gravel, to a certain extent. I mean, I guess they have to cross roads, and you need some kind of police control. But you could basically do that also with with local.
I think that's what a lot of times is what they do. It's volunteers.
Yeah, exactly.
Out there. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But as we all know, my favorite federation in the world, the UCI, they are, whenever they see something with cycling, they jump on it, and they want to own it.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. I'm coming from central London today. Johan, your former home, favorite town. I was just in Spain. I missed you, but we'll be back. I might be back.
You were in Mallorca, no?
I was in Mallorca.
So, I mean, you go from one island to the other island.
I know. I was just thinking that yesterday on the plane. Island hopping. You would say maybe one has slightly better weather than the other. I'm sitting here. I can hear the rain coming through the window behind me. But we're going to get through a few news topics of the week, as well as listener questions that have come into info@wedo.team. If you have a question you want covered, send it to that email address. But Johan, first, let's hear from a few sponsors of the show, and then we'll get into it. The first one is Bubs Natural. You know the moment you realize you're not 25 anymore? For me, it was flying across the world to get to Ruler Live in London this week. The jet lag was tougher, recovery is tougher, and my body is not bouncing back as quickly as it used to, especially after going out in Soho with the wife and maybe having a few too many drinks. Getting older hits harder than you'd expect, but it doesn't have to. That's why I've been loving Bubs Natural Collagen Peptides. Starting in your mid-20s, your body produces less collagen every single year. Its collagen is literally the glue that holds everything together. Bubs helps you bring these levels closer to what your body had when you were younger. The result, stronger joints, healthier hair, nails, smoother skin, and noticeably faster recovery. And the best part is it's easy to use. I just mixed a scoop into my morning coffee, even while traveling. There's no taste, no smell. It dissolves instantly, no clumps, no chalky aftertaste. You don't even know it's there until you start feeling the difference. And what makes Bubs really special is the story behind it. The company is named after Glenn Bub Doherty, a former Navy SEAL and American hero who lost his life saving others in Benghazi. The brand carries his spirit of improvement and service, and Bubs donates 10% of all profits to charity, starting with the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation. So live better longer. For limited time only, our listeners get 20% off Bubs at Bubs Natural by using code WEDO at checkout. Just head to bubsnaturals.com and use code WEDO, and you're all set. After purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Just make sure you say us so you can support the show. Our next partner is Huel, and my mornings have been they're busy with the school drop-offs. Today it was running around taking the Elizabeth line, getting over to this office, and I often don't have time for breakfast, and that's where Huel's Black Edition high protein on the go complete meal replacements comes in. It's got 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It's gluten-free with no artificial sweeteners, basically a complete meal that's ready to go. My go-to flavor right now is chocolate, smooth, not too sweet, and keeps me going all morning. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both Black Edition Ready to Drink and Daily Greens RTD products. I don't have them with me because I'm on the go, and I'm missing those Daily Greens. I live for those Daily Greens. It's a carbonated beverage. It's tasty and healthy, and you can get it today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with exclusive code THEMOVE at Huel.com/TheMove. That's HUEL.com/TheMove. All right, Johan, back to the show. The first thing I wanted to ask you about today, I was on the plane yesterday, just going through my memories, going through my mind, thinking, you know what was a big deal that we've not heard of for a long time? One Cycling. What happened to this project, and it was going to revolutionize the sport? Where do we stand with that?
Yeah, well, it's unclear, Spencer. It's true. It's been quiet for a while. which doesn't necessarily mean that nothing's happening. I think projects like this, initiatives like this, especially when it's very likely to disrupt the system and make some really unhappy parties, amongst them probably UCI, ASO, some organizers. I don't have the details, but I have spoken to someone 3 days ago, and somebody who's close to the project, and he confirmed to me that it's still very much alive. That the Saudis, so it's the Public Investment Fund, PIF, and one of their sub companies is called Surge, which I think is one of the companies that takes care of sporting projects. They are very determined to make it happen. And what did he say again? He said he talked to me about an indefinite amount of money that they're ready to throw against it. So his words are, this is going to happen. This is going to happen in one way or another. Now, I don't think, what I think personally, Spencer, the way I have seen projects like this in the past, because there has been initiatives like this, they all, more or less have the same principles, is that if it's the teams who have to be in the driving seat, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's too much different interests. There's too much rivalry. There's too much lack of trust amongst the teams, and that's exactly what the strong parties like UCI and ASO have always played with. They said, what, do whatever you want, guys. We know that you guys are going to mess it up by yourselves. So this is and on top of that, a project like that takes time. It takes 3, 4, 5 years to solidify. And I think that, the UCI and ASO, to name the two strong parties within cycling, know that nobody has the power or the luxury to. They constantly need to look for new sponsorship. So they are vulnerable and fragile. So whoever is in the driving seat, because, we've seen many times that it was Visma who was at the initiative, and Richard Plugge was, basically the initiative man of the company One Cycling. But, no matter how strong Visma is right now, they are constantly struggling for survival, because they need to renew every 2-3 years. They need to fight for the riders, to keep the riders. Riders go, and so it needs the teams cannot be in the driver's seat. They can be participants to the project, but it needs to be a strong unit. And I think that this company Surge or PIF is probably a party that they have a lot of power, they have a lot of money, and they can force the other parties to the table. I don't have the details of what's going to happen, but last time we checked, I think that RCS was part of the project, and Flanders Classics was part of the project. So it's basically just the ASO. If ASO gets to the table, then it's going to happen. So I think ultimately it's going to happen at some point. It's not because it's been quiet that things haven't been happening behind the scenes. So I still think One Cycling is a real thing.
And help us visualize this. So One Cycling comes about. Like, what is it? Are the races different? Are the races the same? Is it just backroom support for existing races to help them pool resources and kind of increase revenue from things that are already happening?
Yeah, I think listen, any project like this, any initiative, it all comes down to the redistribution of the revenue in the sport. And so I think the main principle is to increase the revenue so that the ones who are the powers now, mainly ASO, earns the same or a bit more. And then whatever is on top of it gets divided amongst the other parties, mainly the teams. And I think it's the idea is to really have the best riders in the best races always racing against each other. It comes down to that. I think cycling is a sport where the calendar is so broad that you could have, theoretically, you can have the 3 best riders in the sport not racing once against each other during the whole season if they would choose to. So that makes no sense, right? So I think it's to unify, simplify, and make sure that it's a unified format that people can understand, because cycling fans obviously understand the sport, but to make cycling to let cycling survive in the climate that we have right now, with the competition of a lot of other sports and a lot of other non-sporting distractions for people, because at the end of the day, it's entertainment also for people, right? I think we need to go to a formula where it's simplified and unified, and that we have a format which is simple, understandable, with always the best champions facing each other.
It's fine. I know you're not a gravel man yourself, and probably a lot of our listeners don't know or follow gravel, but it's, as you were talking, there was gravel races that existed, like Unbound Gravel, big race, the biggest probably. And then Lifetime, which is a company, a gym company, basically, they own high-end gyms, came in, created the Lifetime Grand Prix, which is a series of races where there's like a season-long points and you get a lot of money if you finish high up. And they kind of came in and plugged in. They own some of the races, but they plugged into existing events. Like I think they bought Unbound, but they don't own, like, one of them in Wisconsin, which I won't even try to say the name of because it's so hard to pronounce, but it's been going on for a long time, and they just kind of plugged into it. And then, if you follow this Grand Prix, that the top gravel riders will be at all these races. And whatever you think about gravel, it does kind of present a nice, digestible, season-long narrative, and you can just kind of watch it. The top riders will be there.
Yeah.
Whatever we think about the cycling calendar, we probably need a little bit more optimization, I would think.
Yeah,
because it's currently.
You mentioned gravel, Spencer. I think the difference right now is with gravel is that there's no power party yet. There's nobody who owns the scene yet. You can today organize the biggest gravel event of the season without being part of the UCI, and that you could do that, right?
Yeah. Which I guess is what they did basically, with Unbound, that's totally separate. Of
course, I think here the difference is with gravel is it's off-road, it's on unpaved roads. So you do not need to deal, to a lesser extent.
Well, I think they're all open roads now that you mention it.
With the authorities, traffic control. It's the problem with cycling. The problem with cycling is that since you are on open roads, you're on roads, you need the approval of the authorities. The authorities only deal with other authorities, federations. It's for example, it's easy to organize. Cyclocross, for example, could perfectly be independent of the UCI. You don't need the UCI for cyclocross at all, because it's on a closed field. You're your own boss.
Yeah.
Now you can do whatever you want, right? Mountain bike, same thing, right? Road racing is different. Gravel, to a certain extent. I guess they have to cross roads, and you need some kind of authority. Police control. But you could basically do that also with I don't know, with local.
I think that's what a lot of times is what they do. It's volunteers.
Yeah, exactly.
Out there. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But as we all know, my favorite federation in the world, the UCI, they are, whenever they see something with cycling, they jump on it, and they want to own it. So now they own gravel, or they want to own gravel. They own cyclocross, they own mountain bike, or at least they have their circuit, right? That doesn't mean that you can organize races outside of the UCI, which, gravel is a perfect example. But But yeah, for one cycling, it's road cycling, so you have to deal with the UCI. I personally think that the Saudis are probably not that worried about the UCI. They're more worried about ASO because they have such a monopoly on the calendar. But as I said, it's going to come to a point where they force those parties to the table, and I think I said it in another podcast, they will push and push and push until somebody bends over and says, okay, where do I sign?
Yeah, which actually could often be the right decision. But I can't remember. I was talking to someone who knows a lot about cycling and was poo-pooing the idea that it could ever be optimized. It is what it is. You can't turn it into a business that makes sense for someone like the Saudis or Liberty Media, anybody that would want to be involved. But you've been to the Tour de France, Johan. There's definitely room for it. If you went to like every major world sporting event and then went to the Tour de France, you'd say this is the least commodified. And in some ways that's like charming and nice. But even just think about a mountaintop finish. It's like, so I'll just go up there and then it's like, yeah, it's going to take you hours to leave and you can't buy any food or drink the entire time. I know people bristle at it, but there are ways to.
Oh yeah. I mean, Spencer, it exists already. I mean, just for, go to the Tour of Flanders.
Yeah, exactly.
1 year, go to the Tour of Flanders. Wouter van den Houten, who is the CEO of Flanders Classics, owner of all these races, has disturbed the system a few years ago. And it could not be done. Because initially, it was always the Tour of Flanders was the last two climbs were the Muur of Gerasbergen and the Bosberg, and they finished in Meerbeke, Ninove. Traditionally, and Walter said, okay, we're going to change this. We're going to do local laps in the final around Oudenaarde. We have 3 times the Quaremont, 2 times the what's the last climb again?
The Paterberg.
I
can't believe I know that.
That's a sin. That's a sin. Actually,
well, they did change I guess they changed the route, but the last climb was always.
It's not. Yeah. Okay, so. 3 times Quaremont, 2 times Paterberg. The in that loop of those last 3 loops, there's one bigger one and then 2 smaller ones. That's how you can make a business out of cycling. And the Muur of Gerasberg, and it was a travesty, in Belgium. Oh, you cannot do this. The Muur is not anymore in the Tour of Flanders. Nobody cares,
and nobody cares
because it's so much better now.
Yeah.
Initially I would also say, Walter, what the hell is he doing? And he had the guts to push forward. And it's amazing what he did with this. So it can be done, and I think Tour of Flanders is the example of how cycling can be run as a profitable business. Obviously Tour de France is also a profitable business, but Tour of Flanders back in the days was free for everybody. And it's still free. Wherever you want to go, except on those places where you can't go, and if you want to go, you have to pay. And it's amazing. It's sold out. As soon as the Tour of Flanders finishes, it's sold out for the year after. It's crazy.
Yeah, they are great. I think Thomas van den Spiegel. He's the CEO of Flanders Classic.
He's the CEO of Flanders. Walter is the owner, a founder of Flanders Classics, but Thomas is the one who's running it. Yeah.
I'm going to see him tomorrow. I'm going to bring this up to him.
Well, you will not miss him because he is
he's so
ex-basketball player, huge. He's probably has one of the biggest bike frames known in cycling.
And does he have to have that custom made?
Oh,
yeah,
I
would imagine.
Yeah.
And
ask Thomas if he has built his Eddy Merckx frame already.
All right, I'm going to ask.
Actually, I think he did because I saw an Eddy Merckx, a huge Eddy Merckx frame on I don't know, one of those vintage pages, and I sent it to him, and he said, "Okay, I want this." So he bought the frame. And then had it built. One of the biggest Eddy Merckx frames ever made. He owns it in the Motorola colors.
That's cool. I'd never met the guy, and my son is like practicing his post ups. He's like for race 5 years old, but he's practicing like posting up, and he was doing it in the driveway, but before he crossed the finish line. And then Thomas sent me a direct message saying to not let him become like Julian Alaphilippe, celebrating too early and losing races because of it. But I can't remember if this is a private conversation or on the podcast, but I was saying, well, why does ASO care at all about the Tour de France? Like, it'd be like the Masters. They don't care about anybody. Like, they're not part of the PGA. They're just doing their own thing. And you were saying there's potentially a complication with the road closures in the French government if you're not sanctioned by the UCI.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually that's the way it works. But I mean, listen, ASO has the power. ASO could perfectly function without the UCI. The UCI would probably say, okay, you know what? I mean, everybody who participates in the Tour de France will be banned. That's not going to happen. I mean, everybody's going to go to the Tour de France. If today you let you have riders and teams, you have two choices. Either you side with the UCI or you side with ASO. 99% of everybody's going to side with ASO.
Because imagine this conversation. You go to your sponsors, you say, so you guys are giving us 20 million euros a year. We're not going to do the Tour de France because we need to do the Tour of Guangxi. What if the UCI bans us from that?
We're not going to do the Tour. We're not going to do Paris-Roubaix. We're not going to do Liège-Bastogne-Liège. We're not going to do the Dauphiné. We're not going to do Paris-Nice. But we'll do the World Championships, which, by the way, we're not going to wear your jersey.
Exactly.
Okay, so
well, Guangxi World Championships and Tour de Suisse somehow, which is shrinking by the day. Did you see this? It's 5 stages now.
Yeah, they put it down to 5 stages. Yeah, it's I don't understand why.
They're an independent race, I believe. One of the rare.
Yeah,
they're becoming fewer and fewer, and I guess it shows you how you're getting squeezed if you're not part of one of the 3 big race organizers. Yeah. Did you see this? I feel like David Letterman. You seen this? You seen this, Johan? But David Lepartien, great friend of this podcast, said, UCI president, said that he tried to implement a budget cap in professional cycling and the teams voted against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if I'll read his quote. We considered implementing a budget cap for all the teams, and the teams didn't accept it. I was surprised that it was mostly the smaller teams that refused. I think it's wrong. I think they're wrong because it seems necessary to level the playing field. That seems like a correct statement, but why would the smaller teams reject a budget cap? And did this really happen?
We don't know. We don't know how. I will investigate, and I'll find out what the situation is on what the team's position is. Not supposed to talk to them because I'm banned. I'm forbidden.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like you meet someone at a 7-Eleven. You can't have a conversation with them. That's
my good
allowed.
friend David doesn't want me to talk to team owners or team managers, but I'll talk to them and I'll find out. The budget cap. I don't know if cycling's ready for this. If it's, listen, this is not a sport which is thriving and have to, that sponsors are overflowing the sport. There's teams disappearing once again this year. 2 teams. We have Arkea disappearing, no sponsor. We have Intermarché disappearing, no sponsor or no extra sponsor in financial trouble.
Probably Total Energies next year.
Total Energies. Well, Total Energies has changed towards Ineos, but so I don't think that cycling right now is wealthy enough to implement a budget cap, because it's true right now. I think that there's 2 or 3 teams that have amazing budgets and other teams are struggling. But I think in the long run, if you look at this over 10, 15 years, it's gonna, increase the level of sponsor. Right now, if you're a team and you have 25 million, you are nobody, right? If you go 10, 15 years ago, you 25 million, you were the king.
Well, I guess nobody, we should qualify that. You're either nobody or you're very specific.
Yeah.
Like Uno X, very specific goal. Alpecin, yeah. You can't compete across the portfolio with that amount of money.
So I think It's what usually happens. I mean, it's a trend that's ongoing. I mean, it's the same with the salaries of the riders. There's been riders who have been paid a lot of money, 2 or 3 guys, but now there's probably 20 guys who have huge salaries, whereas 5 years ago there's maybe 3 or 4. So I think it's cycling right now, in my opinion, is financially not ready and not abundant enough financially to increase the salary cap.
Yeah, I do kind of agree that
implement the salary cap. Sorry.
Yeah, and then Lapartien, we should say his fix. The legal framework for this would be difficult, by the way.
Oh, so Lapartien is a socialist. He's a camouflage socialist. He's a capitalist himself, but he wants socialism amongst his, the people he rules about. So,
well, speaking of socialism, I actually think this is a good idea in a lot of sports. He's saying with the budget cap, if you exceed the limit, you pay a tax. It's not a hard cap. This is the U.S. has 2 types of caps for sports teams. Like the NFL is a hard cap, and it is like completely socialist. You share all your revenue with all the teams. But other sports in the U.S., it's a little bit softer. And if you exceed the cap, you pay double. So if you're over 100 million in salary, if you go to 105, you pay 5 to Tadej Pogacar, just picking a random rider, and then you pay double. So you pay another 5 to the teams that have not exceeded the cap. So then you have the richer teams subsidizing the poorer teams who are staying under the cap. That's probably what they would try to do. But as you say, it does not feel, maybe I need to sit down and write a dissertation on this. It does not feel firm enough at the base to start putting in a budget cap.
No.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
No.
Well, let's take a quick ad break and then we will get back to a few other topics. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Hims. With a rider as good as Tadej Pogacar in the peloton, it's got to be tough for his competitors to have confidence about their chances against him in the race. But one thing they have control over is how they feel off the bike, and that's where Hims comes in. They make it easy to take control with simple, personalized care that actually fits their life. Hims gives you convenient access to prescription hair loss treatments that work, including chews, oral meds, serums, and sprays, all backed by clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can stop hair loss and even regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. The best part, it's 100% online. You connect with a licensed medical provider, get a treatment plan personalized for you, and it ships right to your door. No waiting rooms, no awkward pharmacy lines, no surprises, just expert care on your schedule. So for simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/themove. That's hims.com/themove for your free online visit. HIMS.com/themove. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Gusto. What is Gusto, you might ask? It's an online payroll and benefit software built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use, so you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. When I started my Beyond the Peloton newsletter, I just wanted to break down professional cycling in minute detail, not calculate tax withholdings. And so after a few years of, let's say, potentially violating some tax laws, and as the business grew, I got Gusto in. It has completely changed the way I work. It's frankly been a lifesaver. It offers automatic payroll tax filing, simple direct deposits, health benefits, commuter benefits, workers' comp, 401k, you name it. Gusto makes it simple and has options for nearly every budget. It has unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, no hidden fees, no surprises. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/themove and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months free of payroll at gusto.com/themove, gusto.com/themove. All right, Johan, we are back.
Spencer, before we go into the other topics, we forgot the event.
Event of the week.
The event of the week. If not, the battle
if
of
not the year.
Let's say the event of the off season. Our Strava battle. I have taken advantage of you being overseas.
You would think being in Mallorca would help me, but I didn't ride at all there.
It's short, and so I have just checked this morning, and we'll put the picture up here. Gabriel can put it up, but I am now 8 kilometers ahead of you. Spencer Martin, 10,785 kilometers. Johan Bruyneel, yours truly, 10,793 kilometers. So I'm pretty proud of that. It's actually unbelievable. So we have almost the exact amount of elevation: 119,482 meters for you, 119,869 meters for me. You have ridden faster than me, a lot faster. You did 50 hours less than me, 50 hours. But I have a question for you, Spencer. I see here I have 136 days of training, and you have 408 activities. What's up with that? 408.
I'm always riding, baby. Well, this is actually a good community project. So I just do a lot of, like, I'll ride with my son in the morning to his school.
Okay.
So I ride there and back.
That's included. Okay. So your school runs are included.
And I tried for a while. I was doing something where I would put the Garmin on. I would ride to school, ride home, and then I would pause the Garmin, turn it off. I would turn it back on and go on a ride and try to, like, batch it all together. Mm-hmm. But then I was getting corrupted files. I think if you try to, like, let it sit idle for too long, it introduces too many variables. You'll corrupt a file. You'll lose that ride. So I've started to split them up more. Like, I had a meeting last night, and I rode from Shoreditch to, like, Covent Garden, and I was on a city bike, and I did include that because I needed those 6 miles, Johan. Okay. So you can't close the gap too much.
You knew I was coming. Anyways, it's tight. It's tight, Spencer. I'm going to depend a lot on the weather. It's getting rainy here in Madrid. But anyways, it's a fun little battle.
I got to get a Boris bike on the way home today. I've got to get those miles, even if it's raining.
You need to ride 8 kilometers to catch up with me.
What's funny is we're not trying to do this, and it probably will come down to, like, some crazy small amount of kilometers.
Yeah.
And it happens almost every year. It's really weird, actually.
Yeah. Well, listen, for me, Spencer, the most important is whatever. This battle is just a joke. It's just. But for me, it's, I just set my sight on 12,000 kilometers in the year, 1,000 kilometers a month. So I'm happy I'm on track, and you will get there too. You'll also get your 12,000.
It keeps us riding. That's what's important.
Exactly.
And I am cheating a little bit too, because when you ride on Zwift, you can do group rides, and it's like perfect. It would be like if you were on a group ride in perfect conditions. So you can roll along at like 25, 26 miles an hour. Okay. At less of an effort than you could on the road.
Maximum 3 Zwift rides in the whole year. Maybe we do Wednesdays. I did a few of those. Have we started already with We Do Wednesdays?
We'll have to. Let me get some information on that. We'll get back to people. Let's punt that one. But before we get to questions, a couple other topics for you. So we saw last week, we did not talk about it because it happened as we were recording. Premier Tech left Israel Premier Tech as a sponsor. I'm going to say, frankly, that shocked me because
with immediate effect.
Yes, which I guess that means they don't have to pay the last few months of the deal. I would love to see that contract. Why why now? They said it was untenable. They said their goals were to support Canadian cycling. My pet theory is that the G lawsuit cannot be helping, because if they want to support Canadian cycling and then they're helping fund a €30 million or €30 million lawsuit against the best Canadian cyclists, maybe they're not so happy about that. But I was shocked because I thought the team's going to rebrand. It's going to be called Premier Tech.
Yeah.
They get their own team essentially, but that's not how it worked out. Do you have any insight into why that happened?
I don't. I'm not going to say surprised, because, they had already manifested their, doubts, them and Factor, by the way. I think during the Tour of Spain, they were vocal, about that the team needed to rebrand, and otherwise they would stop supporting the team. So as far as I know, the team has been registered for the moment under the holding name Cycling Academy. And it looks like it's going to be up to Sylvain Adams to write the check, and now a bigger check, I think.
A bigger check, and he can't brand it the way he wants to, which...
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'd like to know exactly what the, I don't know what the reason is for him sponsoring or paying for the team. I mean, a part of the fact that he is himself in his, I don't know his age, but mid-60s, late 60s, probably. I don't know. Apparently he's an incredible good cyclist. He's world champion Gran Fondo, I think, and I saw that he was second in the world championships on the track a few months ago, last month maybe. And so he's a very, very avid cyclist himself. So he wants to have a cycling team. He has deep pockets. Okay, fine. The thing is, I personally think that the team is safe for next year. He's going to fund the team. How much further does he want to do that is the question. I mean, is 27, 28 and beyond still on the table? And I think the problem now, unfortunately, is that any other new company or new sponsor who will want to associate them with the team, because even if it's not branded Israel anymore, that identity is there, and it takes a while for an identity that has been in place for a number of years, 10 years maybe now, to fade away, right? I think the only possibility is that if it's companies that are within the close circle of Sylvain Adams, which I'm sure he has plenty of those. I'm a bit. I'm still curious to see what Factor will do, the bike brand, because they were also vocal,
very vocal.
Yeah. So I would not be surprised to see them following the footsteps of Premier Tech. I mean, I hope for the team and the riders that that's not happening, but I'm not so sure about that.
The thing that stuck out to me about Factor, in their statement, they explicitly said this is not a moral or ethical issue for us. It's a business issue.
Yeah.
Like, this is hurting our business.
Yeah.
Which tells you they're probably not going to sit on their hands. So since that happened, I'm kind of glad we didn't talk about it, because since that happened, and I was confused. It's like, well, Premier Tech, they want to be involved in cycling. What are they going to do? And then we're talking about Alpecin Deceuninck potentially had budget shortfalls. It's why they've been turning their roster over this offseason so much. And then we hear rumors from La Gazzetta dello Sport, which is often correct about this.
Who was it that? Was it Ciro? Schiro or whatever his name
is? Ciro Scandamilio.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's to be taken with a grain of salt, I would say. But I would personally. I mean, what do you think? I mean,
I think it makes a lot of sense. So I don't know if we said it. The rumor is that Premier Tech is going to join Alpecin Deceuninck as a partner. Mm-hmm. And you can't have three. I didn't know this until I talked to Hansgrohe, the company, and I was like, oh, the rumor is Red Bull's coming on. And their statement was like, Hansgrohe will continue to be a title sponsor. And I was like, so who's getting booted? I didn't realize you could have three title sponsors in a name. So there's room there. I think it makes a lot of sense for Premier Tech to join them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, if the Roodhoofds have proven that their team is run, it's a tight operation, but at the end of the day, they produce results, right? Which company does not want to be associated with Mathieu van der Poel?
Yeah, exactly.
Moment, right? I had heard that the Koenig was stepping up, and that they would stay on board, but that would obviously mean, but not necessarily. I mean, if Premier Tech would get on board, I think the Koenig would, go into a less prominent role. But yeah, I mean, I think that would make sense. It's typical, I mean, like, I think Premier Tech, whoever's in charge there of the the advertising company who's dealing with Premier Tech, their phone must have been red hot as soon as they made that announcement. I mean, cycling was just on this. Okay, yeah, we're looking for sponsor.
Yeah, yeah.
Which shows you the vulnerability of the sport. Like everybody is always desperate for another sponsor.
Well, did you see this? I didn't read it because I don't read Danish and my translation wasn't working. Bjarne Riis said Visma is short of funds, which we kind of forget, but 2 years ago, they almost went under as a team.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. It's one of the biggest teams, but there are, obviously, listen, they've invested heavily in Jonas and in Wout, and which makes sense. I think it's the right thing to do. The same thing happens in Alpecin. They've invested heavily in Van der Poel and Jasper Philipsen, but a lot of guys have left Visma also. If you look, like Olaf Koy, Tish Benoot, these guys who are really very, very valuable for the team go to teams who offer them big contracts. I mean, huge contracts that a team like Visma is not able to pay. And so you have to it's happened all the time, it usually happens in the fall of their career. Like Tish Benoot is already, he's a veteran rider. And so it makes sense, like one last contract, 3 years, big check. You know what? I applaud you and, just take the contract because we can't match it,
And they have Matthew Brennan. So
exactly.
If you have a Brennan, do you need a Koy? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing some breakdown, Johan, and the most valuable rider of the year last year, and this is just in terms of points scored on their team, like as a percentage of the entire team's points, was Oscar Onley, which I was surprised by. And then Matthew Brennan was like, without Brennan and Koy, Visma would have like really struggled to get the amount of wins that they normally get. Like
Brennan Oscar Onley is on Picnic, eh?
Yeah, he was on Picnic. And so Oscar Onley was first. I was just setting the table there. Like he's the most valuable rider in professional cycling to their team. But behind that, this is the ranking of World Tour wins for every rider. Matthew Brennan was 10th last year.
Yeah.
And he was tied with Jonas Vingegaard. And then Olaf Koy. So it's Koy had the most World Tour wins on Visma. He was 7th overall. Vingegaard and Brennan both had 4. So like Matthew Brennan and Koy were like very, very important for Visma's win ability. And then now they're losing Koy. So it's a dicier situation than you would expect for a team that good.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we heard, we're talking about Visma. I think last week we were talking about the triple. Could anyone do the triple? And I don't know if you watched, there was a documentary Visma did before the tour, and Jonas is at camp and he's like, I really want to target the Giro d'Italia. I was like, that's kind of a funny decision, but I guess he was joking and they all start laughing. So this makes me take it with a grain of salt. But Jonas Vingegaard has said he's maybe thinking about doing the Giro d'Italia Tour de France double, the Tom Dumoulin, as we call it. And do you think this is a good idea? Do you think he can compete in both? And do you think it's going to happen?
Well, I mean, from his point of view, I think it makes a lot of sense. He wants to win the 3 Grand Tours. He's won the Tour. He's won the Tour twice. He's won the Vuelta now. He wants to win the Giro. I think it makes a lot of sense. A combination. I mean, and then we have to. We of course we don't know what's happening in his mind and whatever. Because deep down, I think right now. I think Jonas is probably thinking, well, if Tadej stays at this level, I can't beat him at the Tour, right? So let's look for something else. I just read actually while we were talking in the pre-show that Visma does not agree with that idea of him going to the Giro. That they think it will compromise his chances at the Tour, which I think is right.
Well, shouldn't the question not be, can he win the Tour if he does the Giro, but can he finish second to the Tour if he does the Giro?
Yeah.
Because he's not going to beat Tadej.
My answer is yes. He can win the Giro and finish second to the Tour.
That's what because he just has to be good enough in case Tadej has a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think he can. I mean, if Tom Dumoulin can do it, he can do it.
Yeah.
We don't know the Giro route, do we? No, we don't.
No, it's not announced yet.
It's always like leaks so much that you never quite know when it's announced and when it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when was it? Was it last year?
I think
not this 2024.
Last year where they like never got it out.
Because they didn't know until 2 months before the race if it was going to start in Italy or in Albania. No.
Yeah, I've heard.
Was that last year?
That was last year. Yeah, they didn't know, and I've heard not rumors. I've heard from riders where in the first week of the Giro, you don't know your hotels for the third week.
Wow, and that has changed. But listen, it's nothing compared to organization like the Tour de France, where everything's set in stone already.
Yeah,
almost a year before.
So, I mean, I think he should do it. I think everyone has to start making contingency plans. Like, just recognize that we're in the era of Tadej and plan accordingly.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to be ready in case something happens, but already have your homework made.
Yes.
In this case, having won a big race before. And Jonas knows also that, if he wants to win if he wants to win the Giro, it's now.
Yeah.
It's now, because, I mean, from what I've been reading, it's, Del Toro's focusing on the Giro, for example.
Yep.
If he gets a bit better, if he, still increases his level, then it's also not going to be easier. Not going to become easier for Jonas, because I think we've seen the top level of Jonas already. What is he now? 28, 29?
I think he's 28 going on 29.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, he's not old, but.
Well, he might be. Hold on a second.
This is his top level, right?
He'll be 29 next season.
Uh-huh.
But you know this better than anyone, having been a director of so many Grand Tour guys. Like, once the light switch goes out, like, they don't win anymore.
Yeah.
It's like they can win as much as they want, it seems like, and then it's gone.
Yeah. It's like it happens. Yeah.
So I think you gotta.
I think I'm in favor of Johan. I mean, for himself, for his career. Listen, I mean, he's won the Tour 2 times. Of course, the Tour de France is, the biggest event, and if you win it, you're the king of cycling. But if you've won all 3, there's not that many guys who won all 3. Pogacar, for example, hasn't won all 3 yet.
Nope. How many people have won all 3? Do you know off the top of your head?
Miguel Indurain never won all 3, for example, right?
I mean, it's very rarefied. Someone, Erwan, to get us into our questions, Erwin says if Pogacar won 3 in all year, and I guess this goes for anybody, how does that change their legacy? I think if Pogacar won 3 in all year, you'd have to start talking about, especially if you do 3 in all year plus a world title, that's best of all time stuff.
Listen, we're still there with best of all times. He is on his way, right?
But you bring up a good point that he's not actually won all 3 in his career.
He hasn't won all 3.
That's a good place to start, probably.
Okay, it's not as simple as showing up. You need to be prepared. But this Tadej Pogacar, if he says, "Okay, I'm doing the Vuelta," it's very likely he's going to win it, right? I mean, if he doesn't win it, whatever he has accomplished already is amazing. I just want to take the opportunity to contradict my fellow Belgian, the great Roger de Vlaming, who gave an interview in Last the News, I think, and he said that it's not the first time Roger says things that are really not very accurate. But he said, Pogacar doesn't even. What is it? He doesn't come to the heels of Eddie Merckx or something, or whatever.
He's like if the Vlaming's quote was like, if I was there, he wouldn't have he wouldn't be able to drop me.
Well, listen, that's another. Okay, this one thing is that. So there's two things. The Vlaming says Pogačar doesn't even reach the heels or the ankles of Eddy Merckx, which is absolutely not true. He is getting up there, especially considering cycling nowadays and the competition and the level of a lot of other riders. And then, Roger said also, well, if I was 22 now, he was not going to be able to drop me. Roger de Vlaming, childhood hero of mine, great, amazing rider. Very unlucky to be in the era of Eddy Merckx, but won 4 times Paris-Roubaix. Well, he won he won Liège-Bastogne-Liège. He won all the monuments actually. He won Milan-San Remo. He won Flanders. He won Roubaix 4 times. He won Lombardy for sure, and what's the other one? In Liège, he won Liège. So he won all 5. Yeah, he won all 5. Won a lot of other races. Was a cyclocross rider. Was world champion cyclocross, by the way. Won. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he won Tirreno Adriatico 7 times. Amazing champion. Right? Amazing champion. But to say that Pogačar would not drop him when he was now 22 years old, I was thinking about this on my ride yesterday. I said, you know what? I have a lot of admiration for Roger de Vlaming, but Roger de Vlaming has never won a Grand Tour.
I know, that's what I was thinking of.
Roger de Vlaming,
you got dropped in your time, Roger.
If I'm not mistaken, has never been on the podium of a Grand Tour. If I'm not mistaken,
I don't think so. Do you know how many Tour de France stages
he's podium of the Giro? But I don't think so. I think there was one year where he was going to be going for the GC, and there was a teammate of him, a Belgian guy, Johan de Munk, who was going also for GC, and I think the Munk was a bit better because the Munk ultimately ended up winning the Giro. I don't know if it was that Giro, but I do remember reading when I was very young that de Vlaming couldn't handle the fact that the Munk was better, and he went home. But I don't think the Vlaming. I'm sure he never won a Grand Tour, and I don't think he's ever been on the podium.
4th at the Giro, 1975. So never on the podium.
Roger is, he's been a great champion, but his interviews lately are a bit sad. I think, he's also criticizing Van der Poel. He can't time trial, he can't climb. I said, Roger, you couldn't climb either. You have to be able to climb when you're 4th in the Giro, but he's never been on the podium of a Grand. I've been on the podium of a Grand Tour.
That's a good point. That'd be like
so
you
I'm
saying,
better than Roger. No, obviously not. But I'm a bit sad to see, these interviews, because he does the interview with the best intention, but there's a few of those quotes that are really stupid, and then they get blown up as usual, right? So lots of respect, amazing respect for Roger de Vlaming, but what you say about Pogačar and Eddy Merckx is not true, and what he says about him would not be dropped from Pogačar when he was 22, in my opinion, is also not true. I'll leave it at that.
It's very easy to say someone couldn't drop you. Like, I remember when Taylor Phinney was coming up, I was like, that guy can't drop me. No way. No way. And then, Johan, I rode with Taylor Phinney. Do you want to guess what happened?
He dropped you.
He dropped me. But it's easy to say that they can't. That's the easy part. So one other question before we get going, before I get kicked out of this office. So this is from Chad in Pennsylvania. I almost didn't read this because it's a bit of a bummer, but I'm curious to see what you say. So it's, what do you think is the realistic best case scenario for Matteo Jorgensen in the year ahead? There was a decent amount of excitement around him going into 2025. He obviously had a solid start to the season. with his win at Paris-Nice, but things seemed to fizzle from there. I know he dealt with illness. Loved his fight at the Tour de France with that final stage performance. That was, by the way, I went back and watched that. I forgot how good Campenaerts and Jorgensen were on that stage. Mm-hmm. Is his stock pointing up or down for 2026 and beyond? Can he eventually challenge for a Grand Tour podium? Thank you and love the show.
Yeah, I think Matteo Jorgensen. I mean, I don't think we can judge him on this season because I don't know what kind of illness, but there was definitely something wrong, especially at the Tour de France.
Yeah,
Matteo Jorgensen was not at his expected level at the Tour, so I think races like Paris-Nice and Romandy and Dauphiné and stuff like that, Matteo Jorgensen definitely is able to win them. I mean, he's won twice Paris-Nice already, which is, it's a big stage race, but it's in the spring, so you can't really, you can't compare it to Dauphiné. But he was already second in Dauphiné, I think, 3 years ago, maybe.
Was that like the Derek G year? Yeah, it was Roglic, Jorgensen, G in 2024. Yeah.
So, I mean, he that's within reach, and I think a podium in a Grand Tour is in reach. But it's Giro and Vuelta, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I think the problem Matteo has is that he's on Visma. They have Jonas, who remains a Tour de France candidate winner, and you're obviously going to be on that team in the Tour. They want to send their best team. So if a podium, I think a podium would be possible for Matteo Jorgensen in the Tour. I mean, but it would need to be because of circumstances, breakaway, somebody failing. Jonas probably getting sick, has to abandon, gets his own chance, and can then ride to the podium. I think quality-wise, he does have the qualities to be on the podium in the Tour de France if whatever happens with one of the favorites.
It's almost like he's too important to the team, though, because he's always on that Tour team, and he doesn't get to target the other Grand Tours.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, listen, at the end of the day, he's also probably getting well paid for it,
Yeah,
to do that job.
and he loves
to forget that.
He loves his job. It's also fun to be on a very good team, I would imagine.
It is, yeah.
I think you were talking about the old Flanders course. I think he could have won Flanders on the old course. I don't think he can win on the new one, unfortunately.
Well, it depends who participates.
Probably some pretty good riders, I assume. But it would have to be a year where, if Pogacar and Van der Poel aren't there, actually, it's kind of interesting.
This course is definitely, it's for sure the strongest riders. I mean, whoever is strong and has a good team, they're going to be in the final, and it's going to be one of those guys who will win. I think. I mean, it's
hard to get out ahead of the race too.
Yeah, the last surprise winner, I think, on that new course is probably Bettiol. Bettiol was. Yeah. I mean, he was super strong that day.
But he did drop everybody in the hardest part, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He was super strong. What happened to that guy?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't want to speculate, but I don't. You know what's weird about Bettiol? He's like, I don't know. We should do like a deep dive on that, because remember there was a year he didn't race and he targeted the Olympics and he was in the front group. It was Tokyo, I think, and he like cramped up.
Yeah,
going. He has these like moments where he flashes that greatness, but it doesn't seem like he can put it all together for a season.
Mm-hmm.
But great chatting to you, Johan. Do you have anything else to add before we take off?
Well, say hi to some of my friends at Rouleur and some of my not friends. Say hi too.
Will do.
Enjoy it over there. Speak soon.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye.